Commander Vex drummed his 4 upper appendages on the tactical display, the soft blue light illuminating his scaly features. The observation data scrolled past, detailed reports on the curious bipedal species that had somehow managed to spread across their solar system despite their fragile biology and laughably short lifespans. "So these are the humans," he muttered, eyes narrowing as he studied the images, "these soft creatures who think they are ready to join the galactic community." "Yes, Commander," replied Science Officer Mira, her voice tinged with professional detachment. "Remarkable developmental curve for such a young species. Their technology has advanced exponentially in just the last century of their time measurement. And yet they have never faced true terror," Vex said, rising from his command chair to pace the bridge of the dreadnought subjugator. "They squabble among themselves over resources and ideologies. They make entertainment from simulated fear, but they have never known the kind of fear that forges a species into something worthy of galactic citizenship. The Council believes—" "The Council," Vex interrupted with a dismissive wave, "has grown soft in these peaceful millennia. When I was a hatchling, a species had to prove itself worthy of joining the collective. Now we hand out membership like party favors." Lieutenant Drex, the tactical officer, cleared his throat. "Sir, permission to speak freely." "When have you ever waited for permission, Drex?" Vex replied with a short bark of laughter. "The humans have fought 3 world wars among themselves. They have survived multiple extinction-level events. Their entertainment media is filled with scenarios where they face annihilation and prevail. Perhaps they already understand fear." Vex turned his attention to the tactical display again, zooming in on Earth's night side. The glittering lights of their cities spread across the continents like luminous fungi. "No, Drex. They understand inconvenience. They understand discomfort. They don't understand true existential dread." He straightened his spine, all 7 feet of his armored frame imposing in the ship's blue lighting. "And that's what we are going to teach them." "Commander," Mira interjected, "the Council's directive was for observation only. We are not authorized to help them?" Vex's mouth stretched into what passed for a smile among his kind. "Oh, but we are helping them, Mira. By testing them, by showing them what real fear is, we are preparing them for the harsh realities of galactic politics. If they are worthy of joining us, they will survive. If not," he shrugged his massive shoulders, "then we have saved the collective from wasting resources on a species that would have eventually perished anyway." Mira and Drex exchanged glances but said nothing. "Plot a course for their largest military installation," Vex ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." General Laura Parker squinted at the blinking red dot on the radar screen, coffee cup frozen halfway to her lips. "Tell me that's a malfunction." "Wish I could, General," replied Major Tom Wilson, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "NORAD confirms. Object approximately 3 kilometers in length, currently decelerating from relativistic speeds. Trajectory suggests deliberate course corrections. It's headed straight for us. Launch status of the object: unknown, ma'am. But its energy signature is off the charts." Laura set down her coffee and pressed the intercom. "This is General Parker. I need the Joint Chiefs on Secure Line 1, and get me the President. We are at DEFCON 2 as of now." She turned to Wilson. "Evacuation protocols for all non-essential personnel. Now." "Yes, ma'am." As Wilson hurried away, Laura stared at the screen, the impossible object moving with purpose toward Earth. 27 years in the Air Force hadn't prepared her for this. No one was prepared for this. The secure line beeped. "Parker here." "Yes, Mr. President. I'm looking at it right now." "No, sir, I don't believe this is a drill or a malfunction. The object is showing signs of intelligent control." She paused, listening. "Yes, sir, I understand. We will maintain position and attempt communication per the first contact protocols." Parker out. She hung up and took a deep breath. First contact. After all the speculation, all the searching, they had finally come to us. And they were heading straight for the largest military base in North America. That couldn't be good. "They have detected us," Drex reported, a note of surprise in his voice. "Primitive scanning technology, but they are tracking our approach." "Good." Vex nodded approvingly. "Let them scramble. Let them feel the first twinges of uncertainty." He settled back into his command chair. Mira, what's their military response capability? Mira brought up a holographic display. Nuclear weapons, primarily. Some orbital defense systems. Primitive energy weapons in experimental stages. Nothing that poses a significant threat to our shields. And their communications. Radio waves, sir. Some quantum entanglement experiments but nothing deployed at scale. Vex nodded thoughtfully. Broadcast on all their military frequencies, let's say hello. Sir. Drex objected. The protocol for first contact is exactly what we are doing, Vex finished for him. We are making contact, first, in our way. His eyes gleamed. Open the channel. The comm system in the command center crackled to life with a burst of static, causing everyone in the room to freeze. Then a voice, deep, slightly mechanical but clearly understandable English. Attention humans of Earth, this is Commander Vex of the Dreadnought Subjugator representing the Galactic Collective. Your species has been under observation. Your request for membership in the collective has been noted. As is custom, you will now be tested for worthiness. Prepare yourselves. The transmission cut off, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Did they just... Wilson began. Threaten us? Yeah, I think they did, Laura replied, her mind racing. And what request for membership? We haven't sent any formal communications beyond the basic greetings packages on our deep space probes. Maybe they intercepted the Voyager probes, suggested a young lieutenant. Those had invitation messages. Those were launched over a century ago, Laura said. And they weren't requests to join any collective. She straightened her uniform. Get me all available information on the Voyager messages, and someone find out if we have any linguists who can analyze that transmission for nuance or hidden meaning. The massive view screen at the front of the command center suddenly lit up with an incoming video feed. The face that appeared wasn't human, elongated, with scale-like skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and what appeared to be respiratory vents where a nose would be on a human. General Parker, the alien said, its mouth moving in not quite sync with the words. I trust my message was received clearly. Laura stepped forward, shoulders squared. This is General Laura Parker of the United States Space Force. Your message was received but not understood. We have made no formal request to join any collective. The alien Commander Vex presumably made a gesture that might have been dismissal. Your species has been broadcasting its desire to find other intelligent life for over a century. Your messages speak of peace and cooperation. These are interpreted as petition for membership under collective law. That's a pretty liberal interpretation, Laura replied, keeping her voice steady. And you mentioned a test. What exactly does that entail? Your species claims to be peaceful, yet you maintain vast military arsenals. You claim to value life, yet you destroy your own environment and wage war among yourselves. Before any species joins the collective, they must demonstrate their true nature under pressure. Vex leaned closer to whatever was capturing his image. Fear reveals truth. General Parker, we are here to make you afraid. The screen went dark. Laura turned to her officers, who were staring at her with expressions ranging from shock to outright fear. Well, she said, forcing a grim smile. At least they are straightforward. That went well, Vex said, settling back in his command chair with satisfaction. Their vital signs showed elevated stress responses. The seeds of fear have been planted. Commander Mira approached with a data tablet. I have been analyzing their global communications since our transmission. Their reaction is not what we expected. Explain. There's fear.
Yes.
But it's not universal. Many of their communication channels are filled with excitement, curiosity. Some are even expressing relief that they are not alone in the universe, despite our threatening stance. Vex frowned. Show me. Mira brought up a series of social media feeds, news broadcasts, and government communications that had been intercepted. Vex scrolled through them, his frown deepening. They are organizing, he noted. Not just militarily. Their scientists are sharing data. Their governments are cooperating at unprecedented levels, and their civilians. He paused on an image of humans gathering in what appeared to be a celebration. What are they doing? They are having what they call first contact parties. Mira explained, it appears to be a scenario they have imagined and prepared for culturally through their entertainment media. They are celebrating our arrival? Even after we threaten them. Some are, yes, others are preparing for conflict, but with a strange sort of eagerness. Vex stood, crossing to the main viewport to stare down at the blue-green world below. Fascinating, they are more psychologically complex than our initial studies suggested. He turned back to his officers. It seems a simple threat isn't enough. We need to demonstrate our power more directly. Sir Drex cautioned, the Council specified non-lethal testing only, and non-lethal it shall be, Vex assured him. Target their moon, low-yield particle cannon. Let's give them something to truly fear. The explosion on the lunar surface was visible to the naked eye from Earth, a bright flash followed by a plume of debris that seemed to hang in space before slowly dispersing in the moon's minimal gravity. In the command center, the mood had shifted from tense uncertainty to grim resolution. Damage assessment? Laura asked, her voice tight. Direct hit to Mary Imbrium, reported Wilson. The blast affected approximately 50 square kilometers. Lunar outpost Gamma was on the far side and unaffected, no human casualties. A warning shot, Laura concluded. They could have hit our lunar bases if they'd wanted to. General, a communications officer called out. We are receiving transmissions from Russia, China, India and the European Space Coalition. They are all offering military support and requesting a coordinated response. Laura nodded. Tell them we accept and are initiating the Joint Space Defense Protocol. All participating nations should activate their contingencies and await further instructions. She turned to her senior staff. Whatever these aliens want, they have accomplished something unprecedented. They have united humanity's military forces. Ma'am, Wilson said quietly, what if that was their intention all along? Laura considered this. Possible. But why? To what end? Unknown. But the alien commander mentioned testing us. Perhaps this is part of the test, seeing how we respond to an external threat. If that's the case, Laura said, then let's make sure we pass with flying colors. I want our best minds working on 3 things. Defense, communication and understanding their technology. If they want to see what humans are made of, I say we show them. The response from Earth was immediate and surprising. Rather than the panic Vex had anticipated, the humans' military forces were coordinating with remarkable efficiency. Within hours of the lunar demonstration, they had repositioned their primitive spacecraft into defensive formations and activated ground-based energy weapons that, while not a serious threat to the subjugator, showed impressive adaptive thinking. They are learning rapidly, Mira noted, studying the tactical display. Their weapon systems are being recalibrated based on readings they took during our lunar strike. Will they be effective against our shields? Vex asked. No, sir. But the fact that they have made the correct theoretical adjustments so quickly is concerning. Vex made a sound that might have been appreciation. So they have some intelligence. Good. It would be disappointing if they broke too easily. A new alert sounded on the communications console. Sir Drex reported. They are broadcasting on all frequencies, including some we haven't seen them use before. The signal appears to be aimed directly at us. Let's hear it. The view screen activated to show General Parker, now joined by what appeared to be leaders from other human nation-states, based on their varied uniforms and ethnic characteristics. Commander Vex, Parker began, this is a united message from the governments of Earth. Your unprovoked attack on our moon is considered an act of war under our laws. However, we remain open to peaceful dialogue. We propose an immediate cessation of hostilities and the establishment of diplomatic relations. We are prepared to discuss whatever grievances or concerns your collective may have regarding humanity. Vex chuckled, genuinely amused. They still think this is a misunderstanding. How quaint. He signaled to open a response channel. General Parker and leaders of Earth, your proposal is noted. However, the test continues. Fear cannot be negotiated with, fear must be faced. He cut the transmission. Sir, Mira said hesitantly. They seem genuinely interested in peaceful resolution. Of course they are. They are outmatched and they know it. But peace born of weakness is not true. Peace. It's merely delayed conflict. Vex studied the tactical display. They need to feel true pressure. Prepare the atmospheric disruptors. Target their largest population centers, non-lethal settings, of course. We will give them some proper weather to worry about. The storms came without warning, massive supercells that formed over New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, Tokyo, and a dozen other major cities simultaneously. Winds exceeding hurricane force. Lightning that struck with unnatural precision, and rain so heavy it threatened to flood subway systems within minutes. In New York, Dr. Jake Turner, one of the nation's leading atmospheric scientists, stared at his instruments in disbelief. "This isn't possible," he muttered, watching as the storm system maintained perfect cohesion despite conditions that should have caused it to dissipate. His colleague, Dr. Amara Patel, was already running simulations. "These storm patterns match nothing in our historical data. The energy required to maintain these systems would be—" She paused, recalculating. "Jake, these storms are being artificially generated. The aliens are controlling our weather." Jake grabbed the secure phone that had been installed in their lab just hours ago. "This is Dr. Turner. Connect me to General Parker immediately." He waited only seconds before the general's voice came through. "This is Parker. Talk to me, Doctor." "General. The storms are artificially created and maintained. They are targeting infrastructure but avoiding direct casualties. It's a precision attack designed to cause maximum disruption with minimal loss of life. Can you counter it?" "Not with current technology, but—" Jake hesitated. "We might be able to use their own technology against them. The storms are being controlled by some kind of energy field. If we can analyze it, maybe disrupt it, do it. Whatever you need, you have got it. The President has authorized unlimited resources for anyone who can give us a fighting chance." Jake looked at Amara, who was already nodding. "We will need direct readings from inside the SOAR cores, and access to the quantum computing facility at MIT. Done and done. A transport team will be at your location in 10 minutes. Jake hung up and turned to his team. "All right, people. We are about to try something incredibly stupid and potentially brilliant. Who's with me?" Every hand in the lab went up. On the subjugator, Vex watched with satisfaction as chaos unfolded in the human cities. Emergency vehicles raced through flooded streets. Buildings swayed in the powerful winds. Power outages rolled across the affected regions. "Atmospheric disruption proceeding as planned," Drex reported. "Human emergency responses are at maximum capacity." "And their fear levels?" Vex inquired. Mira consulted her instruments. "Elevated. Certainly. But," she frowned. "Again, not as high as projected. They are adapting, helping each other. Their emergency services are performing well beyond our model's predictions." Vex leaned forward. "Show me." The tactical display shifted to show multiple scenes from the affected cities. Humans forming human chains to rescue those trapped by floodwaters, military units deploying portable shelters with remarkable speed, civilian volunteers distributing supplies and medical aid. Their social cohesion is impressive under stress, Mira admitted. "And there's something else. We are detecting unusual activity in several of their scientific facilities. They appear to be studying the atmospheric disruptors." "Let them study," Vex said dismissively. "There's nothing they can learn in time to make a difference." He paused, considering. "Still, their resilience is noteworthy. Perhaps it's time to escalate further. Prepare the seismic modulators." "Sir," Drex objected, more forcefully now. The Council explicitly prohibited geological interference. "The risk of uncontrolled casualties is minimal with proper calibration," Vex finished. "We will target unpopulated areas near their cities, just enough to rattle them, not destroy them." His eyes narrowed. "Unless you are suggesting these primitives deserve special treatment, Lieutenant?" Drex stiffened. "No, sir. Preparing seismic modulators as ordered." The first tremors hit the west coast of North America just as teams were beginning to get the storm situations under control. Unlike natural earthquakes, these came in perfectly timed waves, each one precisely 5 minutes apart, each one slightly stronger than the last. In San Francisco, buildings swayed but held firm, decades of engineering for seismic activity paying off. In Los Alamos, the same, but the psychological effect was devastating. The unnatural regularity made it clear this was no natural disaster. In her temporary command post in Colorado's Cheyenne Mountain, Laura Parker received the reports with growing anger. "Casualties?" she demanded. "Minimal so far," replied her aide. "Some injuries from falls and minor structural collapses, but the quakes aren't strong enough yet to bring down buildings designed to code." "Yet," Laura repeated grimly, "they are increasing intensity with each wave. How's our Special Projects Division coming along?" The aide handed her a tablet. "Dr. Turner and Dr. Patel report significant progress on the atmospheric disruptor analysis. They have identified the energy signature and are working on a countermeasure. As for the seismic activity, Dr. Reyes at Caltech has a theory." Laura skimmed the report, eyes widening slightly. "They think the aliens are using our planet's own magnetic field to trigger the quakes." "Yes, ma'am. And if that's true, they might be able to use the planetary defense grid to disrupt it." "The grid isn't fully operational," Laura pointed out. "No, ma'am, but the sections that are online might be enough to create interference." Laura made a decision. "Tell Dr. Reyes he has authorization to attempt his countermeasure. And get me a direct line to the alien vessel. It's time we showed them humans don't scare easily." The transmission from Earth came just as the seventh seismic wave was being initiated. "Commander Vex." General Parker's face appeared on screen, remarkably composed despite the chaos her species was facing. "I will be brief. We have analyzed your atmospheric and seismic attack technologies. Crude, but effective. I will give you that. But here's what you should know. We are already developing countermeasures." Vex laughed, a harsh, rattling sound. "Bold claims, General. But I see no evidence of—" He was interrupted as Drex called out in alarm. "Sir, the atmospheric disruptors over their eastern cities are failing." "What?" Vex swung around to the tactical display, which showed the carefully constructed storm systems beginning to dissipate. "How is this possible? Explain." "Unknown, sir," Mira replied, fingers dancing across her console. "They appear to be generating some kind of counter-frequency that's neutralizing our control fields." On the screen, General Parker allowed herself a small smile. "As I was saying, Commander, humans are remarkably quick studies. And we don't appreciate being bullied, tested, or threatened. Now shall we discuss things like civilized beings? Or would you prefer to continue this pointless demonstration?" Vex felt a sensation he hadn't experienced in decades, a cold flutter in his primary heart that his species associates with surprise and, yes, the beginnings of concern. "You have managed one small victory, General, but you have merely scratched the surface of what we can do." "Perhaps," Parker conceded. "But you have also only scratched the surface of what we are capable of when united against a common threat. The choice is yours, Commander. Escalation or conversation." Vex cut the transmission, turning to his officers with a new intensity. "They are more resourceful than anticipated." "Good. A worthy test subject at last." His mouth stretched into that predatory smile again. "Prepare the neural interface. It's time to see what humans truly fear at their core." Jake Turner stumbled as another tremor shook the building, this one stronger than the last. "We have neutralized the storms, but these quakes are operating on a different principle," he told Amara as they raced down the corridor of the hastily assembled Joint Scientific Task Force headquarters. "Dr. Reyes thinks he's identified the mechanism," Amara replied, pulling up data on her tablet. "Look at these energy pulses. They are synchronizing with Earth's own magnetic resonance frequency, amplifying natural tectonic stress points. So they are not creating the earthquakes, they are triggering ones that were going to happen eventually." "Exactly. Clever, actually. Minimal energy expenditure for maximum effect." They burst into the main laboratory, where dozens of the world's top scientists were working in organized chaos. Dr. Reyes, a compact man with intense eyes and perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, waved them over to his workstation. "Turner. Just in time, we are about to attempt our first counterpulse." He pointed to a global display where red dots indicated the locations of the 8 operational satellites in Earth's fledgling planetary defense grid. "We are going to use the satellites to create a dampening field that should interrupt their control frequency." "Should?" Jake questioned. "Well, this is all theoretical," Reyes admitted with a shrug. "But the math checks out. Mostly." General Parker's voice came over the intercom. "Dr. Reyes, The next wave is due in 1 minute. Are you ready? Reyes took a deep breath. As ready as we will ever be. General, initiating counterpulse now. He pressed a series of commands and the display showed energy waves emanating from the defense satellites converging over North America where the quakes had been centered. For 30 seconds nothing seemed to happen. Then the floor began to tremble right on schedule, but instead of building as the previous tremors had, this one peaked quickly and then subsided. It's working! Amara exclaimed, eyes fixed on her readings. The amplitude is decreasing. Reyes allowed himself a small fist pump. Take that. You overgrown space lizards. Jake was already looking at the next problem. They will adapt their frequency. We need to be ready. He was cut off as every screen in the facility suddenly went dark, then came back online displaying the same image, the alien commander Vex, his 4 eyes seeming to stare directly at each of them. Impressive ingenuity, humans, the alien's voice echoed through every speaker. You have shown adaptability and technical skill beyond what your development stage should allow, but technology is merely a tool. True fear lives in the mind. Every human in the room suddenly gasped, clutching their heads as a wave of something washed over them. Jake felt it too, a pressure behind his eyes, a presence skittering at the edges of his consciousness. What's happening? He managed to ask, fighting against a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread that seemed to come from nowhere. Neural interface. Reyes groaned, gripping the edge of his console. They are accessing our minds directly somehow. On every screen, Vex continued. Now let us see what truly frightens you. Let us see if you are worthy. The pressure increased and Jake found himself fighting against visions of darkness, of isolation, of failure so complete it threatened to crush his very sense of self. Around him others were experiencing their own personal nightmares, some crying out, some going silent with terror. All of them fighting an enemy they couldn't see or touch. Through the haze of artificial fear, Jake reached out and grabbed Amara's hand. The human contact seemed help, clearing his mind just enough. It's not real, he said, as much to himself as to her. It's induced, which means it can be blocked, she finished, her voice strained but determined. If they are broadcasting on a neural frequency, we can create interference. Jake nodded. An idea forming, the defense grid. If we recalibrate it to broadcast white noise across the likely neural frequencies, we'd need computing power we don't have. Reyes objected, visibly struggling against whatever horrors he was being shown. Not necessarily, Jake countered. We have 7 billion human brains, what if we used them? On the bridge of the subjugator, Vex watched with fascination as the neural interface data streamed in. Remarkable diversity of fear responses, Mira noted, studying the patterns. Some focus on personal harm, others on harm to loved ones. Some fear failure more than death. Some fear isolation above all else. And yet, Vex observed, they continue to function, to resist. He zoomed in on one particular data stream. This group here, they are actively working to counter the interface. Impossible, Drex said. No species at their technology level has ever been able to resist a direct neural link. Apparently no one told them that. Vex replied dryly. Increase power to the interface. Let's see how much they can withstand before they break. The plan came together with desperate speed. Using the planetary communications network, they broadcast a simple message, and an equally simple set of instructions. Focus on connection, not isolation, on hope, not fear. Think of links between people, of hands clasped, of bridges built. It seemed absurd, even to Jake. Fighting an advanced alien neural weapon with what amounted to positive thinking. But as the reports began coming in, something extraordinary happened. The fear receded. Not completely, but enough to function, to think, to fight back. Wherever people followed the instructions, gathering in groups and focusing on connection, the alien influence weakened. It's working, Amira said wonderingly, watching as the neural interface readings began to show disruption patterns. Humans thinking in concert are creating a kind of psychic static. Not psychic, Jake corrected. But close enough. Whatever frequency they are using to access our brains, we are jamming it with 7 billion individual transmitters, all broadcasting the same general pattern. General Parker's voice came over the comm, strained but coherent. Turner, whatever you are doing, keep it up. We are seeing the effects globally. The aliens are increasing power, but it's not having the effect they expected. Sir, Jake replied, I think we are ready to move from defense to offense. If we can reverse engineer their neural frequency, do it, Parker ordered without hesitation. Commander Vex couldn't understand what was happening. The neural interface should have reduced the humans to terrified, cowering primitives. Instead, they were rallying, organizing, resisting in ways that should have been impossible for them. They are adapting to the interface faster than any species we have ever tested, Mira reported, genuine amazement in her voice. And they are attempting to reverse the signal. Impossible, Vex declared, but even as the word left his mouth he felt it, a subtle pressure at the base of his brainstem, a whisper of foreign thought patterns trying to establish connection. Sir, Drex said sharply. Our systems are detecting an attempted neural intrusion. They are using our own technology against us. Shut down the interface, Vex ordered, full disconnection. Now. But it was too late. The connection, once established, couldn't be so easily severed. And now Vex felt something he hadn't experienced since he was a young cadet, genuine uncertainty about the outcome of a mission. The humans weren't just resisting, they were pushing back, and for the first time, Commander Vex wondered if perhaps he had underestimated them after all. As the pressure in his mind increased, bringing with it alien thought patterns and emotions he had never experienced before, a new sensation began to form, one that he had sought to instill in the humans but never expected to feel himself. Fear. Genuine. Existential fear. Not of physical harm but of something far more profound, the fear of having fundamentally misjudged a situation. Of having set in motion events that could not be controlled. Commander, Mira said urgently, we need to retreat, regroup and reconsider our approach. Vix stared at the view screen, at the blue-green world that housed these unexpectedly formidable beings. Yes, he said slowly. I believe we do. The test had taken an unexpected turn, and now Vex couldn't help but wonder who exactly was being tested. The subjugator shuddered as it broke orbit, accelerating away from Earth with a haste that belied the dignified retreat Commander Vex had intended. On the bridge, warning lights flashed as the ship's systems fought to compensate for the neural feedback loop the humans had somehow managed to create. Status report, Vex demanded, one clawed hand gripping his command chair as the other pressed against his temple, trying to block out the foreign thoughts still echoing through his mind. Neural interface completely compromised, Mira reported, her voice tight with pain. The entire bridge crew was experiencing the same mental intrusion. We have severed the connection, but the humans managed to download significant data before we could shut it down. What kind of data? Vex asked, already dreading the answer. Drex looked up from his console, his normally stoic features showing clear alarm. Everything, sir, shield frequencies, weapon specifications, engine schematics, and parts of the collective historical database. Vex hissed a curse in his native tongue. How is this possible? Their technology is centuries behind ours. It wasn't their technology, Mira said quietly. It was their minds. They somehow synchronized their thought patterns to create a reverse data flow. I have never seen anything like it. The council must be informed immediately, Vex decided, straightening in his chair despite the pounding in his skull. Set course for the nearest collective outpost. Maximum speed. As the subjugator's engines powered up to full capacity, Vex turned to stare at the view scene, where Earth was rapidly shrinking to a small blue dot, and prepare a full report on the humans. It seems we have underestimated them considerably. Sir, Drex said hesitantly, about the report, do you want me to include your decision to exceed the Council's testing parameters? Vex's 4 eyes narrowed. Include everything, Lieutenant. The collective values truth above all, even uncomfortable truths. He rose from his chair, wincing at the lingering headache. I will be in my quarters, reviewing the neural data we receive. Perhaps we can still salvage something useful from this unexpected outcome. As Vex left the bridge, Mira and Drex exchanged glances. Did we just lose? Drex asked quietly. Mira's expression was unreadable. I'm not sure either side won. Exactly, but I think the commander just learned a valuable lesson about making assumptions. And about fear, Drex added. Real fear. Back on Earth, The sudden departure of the alien ship was met with cautious celebration tinged with exhaustion. In the Joint Scientific Task Force headquarters, Jake Turner slumped in his chair, drained from the mental battle they'd just fought. "They are really gone?" he asked, hardly daring to believe it. "Confirmed," General Parker's voice came over the speakers. "NORAD reports they are accelerating out of the solar system. Whatever you people did, it worked." Amara collapsed into the chair next to Jake, her usual composure momentarily abandoned. "We actually did it. We repelled an advanced alien species with, what? The power of positive thinking and some hastily reprogrammed satellites. Don't forget good old human stubbornness," Dr. Reyes added, managing a weak smile despite his obvious fatigue. "We are annoyingly persistent that way." Jake stared at the monitors showing the alien ship's retreat. "It wasn't just that we fought back, it's what we learned while we were connected to their systems." General Parker's voice sharpened with interest. "Elaborate." "Dr. Turner." Jake tapped a few commands, bringing up streams of alien data that had been captured during the neural interface. "When they linked with our minds, they created a two-way connection. They didn't expect that. They didn't anticipate that we could use that connection to access their knowledge." "What exactly did we get?" Parker asked. "We are still sorting through it all." But Jake scrolled through the data. Technical specifications of their ship, weapons systems, shield technology, and something else: historical records, cultural information. "We know why they came now. Tell me." "They are part of something called the Galactic Collective, a union of spacefaring species that governs this sector of the galaxy. Apparently they interpreted our space probes and radio transmissions as a formal application for membership." Jake couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. "And they have a ritual. Before any new species can join, they test them to see if they are worthy." "By attacking them," Parker sounded incredulous. "By scaring them," Amira corrected, looking up from her own terminal. "Fear is apparently very important in their culture. They believe that how a species responds to fear reveals their true nature." "So this whole thing was some kind of cosmic initiation ritual?" Parker asked. "Essentially, yes," Jake confirmed. "Though it seems our friend Commander Vex took some liberties with the standard protocol. According to their records, the tests are usually much more controlled." "Great," Parker said dryly, "so we just had the alien equivalent of a hazing prank gone wrong." "On the bright side," Reyes piped in, "we also got a treasure trove of advanced technology that could catapult humanity forward by centuries." "So silver lining? What do you think they will do now?" Amara wondered. Jake studied the alien data, frowning slightly. I think we might have just changed the game entirely." In his private quarters aboard the subjugator, Commander Vex reviewed the neural data collected from the humans. Despite the mission's unexpected outcome, the information they'd gathered was fascinating. The humans' fear responses were unlike anything recorded in the collective's extensive xenobiological database. Where most species responded to fear with either aggression or submission, humans showed something different. They connected. They reached out to each other, forming impromptu communities that somehow strengthened their resistance to fear. And more intriguing still, they seemed capable of experiencing fear and courage simultaneously, not as opposing forces but as complementary ones. "Fascinating," Vex murmured, scrolling through the data. "They don't overcome fear, they acknowledge it, accept it, and then act despite it." A chime at his door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter." Science Officer Mira stepped in, looking troubled. "Commander, I have completed my preliminary analysis of the human counterattack. You should see this." She handed him a data tablet. Vix's eyes widened as he reviewed the information. "Are you certain about these findings?" "Yes, sir. The humans didn't just resist our neural interface. They improved it. The connection they established was more efficient, more stable than our original design. They made technological advances in hours that would take most collective species years of focused research." "How?" Vex demanded. "I believe it's their neural architecture," Mira explained. "Their brains are remarkably plastic, constantly forming new connections, adapting to new challenges. And when millions of them focused on the same problem simultaneously," she spread her hands, indicating the results on the tablet. Vex set the tablet down, his expression grave. "The Council will find this most concerning. Sir, if I may speak freely, When have you ever waited for permission, Mira? Vex replied, echoing his earlier comment to Drex, though without the humor this time. The humans could be valuable allies, not just members of the collective. Their adaptability, their unique approach to problem solving, these are assets, not threats. Assets, Vex repeated. Mira, they reversed our most advanced technology and used it against us within hours of first exposure. The Council will see them as a security risk, not an asset. And what do you see them as, Commander? Vex was silent for a long moment. I see them as a mirror, he finally said. They reflected our tactics back at us, forcing us to experience the very fear we sought to inflict. There's a lesson there that I'm still trying to understand. The ship's communication system chimed before Mira could respond. Commander. Drex's voice came through. We are receiving a transmission from Earth. Vex and Mira exchanged surprised glances. Put it through to my quarters, Vex ordered. The view screen on the wall activated, showing General Parker alongside several humans Vex recognized from the neural interface data, the scientists who had led the counterattack. Commander Vex, Parker began without preamble. Before you get too far, we thought we should talk. Vex blinked in surprise. You have developed faster-than-light communication already? One of the scientists, Jake Turner, according to the neural data, smiled slightly. Not exactly. We are using your communication technology. The specifications were part of the data we borrowed during our neural exchange. Impossible, Vex said automatically. You couldn't have implemented such advanced technology so quickly. Yeah, we keep hearing that word today, Parker replied. Seems like it doesn't mean what you think it means. Vex felt Mira's gaze on him but refused to acknowledge her unspoken "I told you so." What do you want, General Parker? First, to inform you that we understand what happened. We know about the collective, about the membership tests, and about how you, let's say, improvised beyond your authorized parameters. Vex stiffened. You have no right to. Second, Parker continued, ignoring his protest, we want to formalize our application to the collective properly this time. No misunderstandings. That brought Vex up short. You still wish to join after what we did. We are pragmatists. Commander. The galaxy is apparently full of advanced civilizations. We'd rather have a seat at the table than be left out in the cold. And third, added Dr. Turner, we'd like to propose a joint research initiative. The neural interface technology has potential far beyond what either of our species has explored. We believe a collaborative approach would benefit everyone. Vex couldn't hide his astonishment. You are offering cooperation, not demands for reparations or threats of retaliation. Parker's expression remained neutral, but her eyes held a steely determination. Don't misunderstand, Kander. We haven't forgotten or forgiven the attack on our world. But we recognize an opportunity when we see one. This can end with mutual benefit. Or mutual destruction. The choice, as they say on Earth, is yours. They want to what? Counselor Zara's holographic image flickered slightly as she leaned forward in apparent disbelief. Join the collective and establish a joint research program, Vex repeated, standing at attention in the subjugator's communication chamber. The ship was still 3 days from the nearest collective outpost, but he'd felt the council needed to be informed immediately. After you violated testing protocols and attacked their world, Counselor Trev, the eldest member of the council, seemed equally bewildered. Yes, Counselor. And I take full responsibility for those violations. My report details my actions and reasoning, flawed as they were. Your reasoning is not the immediate concern, Commander, Zara said. The humans' response is, you say they were able to reverse engineer our neural interface technology within hours of exposure. Correct, Counselor. And they have already begun improving upon it. The 7 council members exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them that even Vex, with his decades of experience in collective politics, couldn't fully interpret. This is unprecedented, Counselor Jax, the military representative, finally said. No species at their development stage has ever demonstrated such rapid technological adaptation. It poses significant security concerns, added Counselor Noor, head of intelligence. Or significant opportunities, countered Counselor Lyra, the scientific representative. Their neural architecture must be remarkable. The research potential alone. could be devastating if their intentions are hostile. Jax interrupted. I don't believe they are hostile, Vex found himself saying, surprising even himself with his certainty. Cautious. Yes. Formidable, certainly. But not inherently aggressive. They had the opportunity to inflict significant damage when they penetrated our neural systems. They chose instead to merely defend themselves and gather information. A tactical decision perhaps, Jax suggested. Waiting until they better understand our weaknesses. Or a reflection of their true nature, Vex countered. The data we gathered on their fear responses suggests a species that values connection and community above dominance. They face fear collectively, drawing strength from each other. An interesting perspective, Commander, Counselor Trev said, stroking his facial tentacles thoughtfully. Particularly coming from you. Your reputation has not been one of cultural sensitivity. My experiences with the humans have been educational, Counselor. Vex admitted. Clearly, Trev replied dryly. What is your recommendation, Commander? Vex took a deep breath. I recommend we accept their application for collective membership, with appropriate probationary terms, and I support their proposal for a joint research initiative, under suitable security protocols. You surprise me, Vex. Zara said. I expected you to recommend caution, perhaps even quarantine. That would be a mistake, Counselor. The humans have already demonstrated they can adapt our technology to their needs. Attempting to isolate them would only encourage them to develop defensive capabilities independently, possibly in ways we cannot predict. Better to keep them close, where we can monitor their progress. Jax suggested, a hint of approval in his tone. Better to engage with them as potential allies rather than treat them as potential threats. Vex corrected. Their approach to problem solving is unique. It could benefit the collective greatly. And the fact that they humiliated you and your crew has no bearing on this recommendation. Nor asked pointedly. On the contrary, Counselor. It has significant bearing. Vex straightened his posture. They defeated a superior force through intelligence, cooperation, and remarkable adaptability. Would we not want such qualities in a collective member? The council members conferred silently again before Trev spoke. We will consider your recommendation, Commander. Continue to the outpost at best speed. Maintain communication with the humans but make no promises or agreements until the council has reached a decision. Understood, Counselor. And Vex, Trev added as the other council holograms began to fade. This experience appears to have changed you. I find myself curious to meet the Commander Vex who returns to us. He seems a wiser being than the one who departed. As the communication ended, Vex stood alone in the chamber, reflecting on Trev's words. Had he changed? Undoubtedly, the humans had shown him something he hadn't expected to find, a mirror for his own fears and assumptions, and in that reflection he'd seen truths about himself he hadn't been prepared to face. Perhaps that was the real test all along. 3 months later, Jake Turner stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Collective's Central Council Station, trying not to gawk like a tourist at the bewildering variety of alien species surrounding him. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and biological compositions moved through the vast space, some floating, some slithering, others walking on varying numbers of limbs. Still can't believe we are here, Amara murmured beside him. First humans to set foot in collective space. First official humans, Jake corrected with a small smile. According to some of the historical data we pulled from the subjugator, they have been abducting individuals for study for centuries. Great, so we are just catching up to where the conspiracy theorists have been all along. Their banter was interrupted as General Parker approached, accompanied by a collective diplomatic officer, a tall, willowy wing with iridescent skin and 4 arms. Doctors, Parker nodded. The council is ready for our presentation. Jake swallowed nervously, clutching the data tablet containing their research findings. The Joint Human Collective Neural Interface project had progressed rapidly, yielding breakthroughs that had impressed even the collective's most skeptical scientists. Remember, Parker added quietly, this isn't just about the research. This is our formal petition for membership. So let's show them exactly what humans bring to the table. They followed the diplomatic officer through a series of ornate doorways, finally entering the council chamber itself, a circular room with 7 elevated podiums arranged in a semicircle. Behind each podium stood a member of the collective council, representing the founding species of the Interstellar Alliance. And there, standing at a smaller podium to the side, was Commander Vex. He looked different somehow, his posture less rigid, his expression more thoughtful than Jake remembered from their neural connection. As the humans were led to the center of the chamber, Vex caught Jake's eye and inclined his head slightly in what might have been recognition or perhaps respect. "Representatives of Earth," Counselor Trev's voice boomed through the chamber. "We welcome you to the Central Council Station. Your petition for collective membership has been reviewed, along with the results of your unorthodox testing experience." A ripple of what might have been laughter moved through the observation galleries. "Before we proceed," Counselor Zora spoke, "we would hear from Commander Vex, who conducted your species test." Vex stepped forward, his voice clear and measured. "Honorable Counselors, 3 standard months ago, I departed on a mission to evaluate humanity's readiness for collective membership. I return having been evaluated myself." He paused, meeting the gaze of each council member in turn. "The humans exceeded every parameter of our traditional tests. They displayed courage, ingenuity, cooperation, and remarkable adaptability in the face of fear. But more importantly, they showed wisdom in their response to victory." "Explain," Counselor Jax prompted. "When they had successfully repelled our attack and gained access to our technology, they did not seek revenge. They did not demand reparations. Instead, they sought understanding and cooperation." Vex gestured toward the human delegation. "They recognized, perhaps better than I did, that fear need not lead to conflict, that different species can learn from each other, even perhaps especially in moments of crisis." "And what have you learned from them, Commander?" Counselor Lyra asked. Vex's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of contemplation in his species. "I have learned that true courage is not the absence of fear but the willingness to act despite it. I have learned that connection can be a greater strength than isolation, and I have learned that assumptions about lesser developed species can be dangerously misguided." Jake was surprised by the commander's words. This was not the arrogant, dismissive alien who had attacked Earth. This was someone changed by the experience, just as humanity had been. "Representatives of Earth," Counselor Trev addressed them directly. "Your species has demonstrated qualities the collective values. Your application for membership is accepted, with standard probationary terms." A murmur of excitement ran through the human delegation, quickly suppressed as Parker stepped forward. "The people of Earth thanked the Council for this opportunity. We look forward to contributing to the collective's knowledge and prosperity." "Speaking of contributions," Counselor Lyra said, "we understand you have brought research findings from your joint neural interface project." Jake took his cue, stepping forward with Amara. "Yes, Counselor. Building on the initial connection established during Earth's test, we have developed enhancements that improve efficiency by 47% while reducing neural strain by over 6. He activated his tablet, sending the technical specifications to the Council's displays. The Counselors' reactions varied by species, but all showed clear signs of surprise and interest. "This is remarkable work," Lyra said after reviewing the data. "Particularly for a species so new to neural technology." "We had excellent teachers," Amara replied diplomatically, nodding toward Vex, "and we found that our neural architecture offered certain advantages that complemented collective technology." "Indeed," Vex agreed, "the humans' brains form new neural pathways at rates unseen in most collective species. Combined with our established technologies, the applications are extensive and potentially concerning," Counselor Noor noted. "Such rapid neural adaptation could present security risks, or unprecedented opportunities for growth and understanding," Jake countered. "Our research suggests that modified neural interface technology could facilitate learning, cultural exchange, even medical treatments across species boundaries. The potential benefits outweigh the potential risks," General Parker added firmly. As they often do with any truly valuable advancement, the council members conferred silently again in that peculiar way Jake had come to recognize from the subjugator data. Finally Trev spoke again. "The council accepts your research contribution with gratitude. A joint committee will be established to explore its applications, with appropriate safeguards. He paused, looking directly at Jake. It seems that in attempting to teach humans fear we have instead learned something about courage. A fair exchange, would you not agree? Jake glanced at Vex, who was watching him with an unreadable expression. More than fair, counselor. Fear and courage are two sides of the same coin. You can't truly understand one without experiencing the other. Wise words from a young species, Trev observed. Perhaps there is much we can learn from each other after all. As the formal proceedings concluded, Jake found himself standing near Commander Vex in the antechamber. So, Jake said, breaking the somewhat awkward silence, I guess your test didn't go quite as planned. Few things of value ever do, Dr. Turner, Vex replied, but I find myself satisfied with the outcome nonetheless, even though you technically failed. Vex made a sound that might have been a chuckle. I was sent to evaluate whether humans understand fear. I return having gained a deeper understanding of it myself. That is not failure, Dr. Turner. That is education. Jake smiled. Well, when you put it that way, I suppose we all learned something valuable. Indeed. And perhaps that is the true purpose of fear, not to paralyze or control but to teach. Vex extended one of his clawed hands in a gesture he had clearly studied from human custom. I look forward to learning more from your species in the future, Dr. Turner. Jake shook the alien's hand, still somewhat surreal even after months of interspecies contact. Likewise, Commander. Just maybe with fewer earthquakes and mind probes next time. Agreed, Vex said, his mouth forming that strange not quite smile. Although I make no promises about the weather. As they rejoined their respective delegations, Jake couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd all come in such a short time, from terror to partnership, from conflict to cooperation, all because some aliens had wanted to teach humans about fear, only to learn it themselves. Sometimes, Jake thought, the best teachers are those willing to become students, and sometimes, the thing you fear most is exactly what you need to encounter. Humanity had passed its first galactic test, and somehow Jake suspected it wouldn't be the last. But next time they'd be ready. Not because they were fearless but because they understood that fear was just the beginning of wisdom.